followed by the prayer.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Shall we pray? Our Father and our God, we bow with this hour to give your name glory, to give you praise. Thank you, our Father, for all of the gifts and graces that you have given to us and our families. And Father, as we have gathered here tonight for this meeting, we invite your presence. We ask if you would be with us. And after we have talked, after we have discussed everything that we do and say, we pray that it will be to your awesome glory. Go with us now, stand by us, keep us in your care, and we'll be careful to give your name all of the glory and honor that you so richly deserve. Keep us now is our prayer, in the name of our Christ. And the people of God say it together, amen.
This is our September board meeting, and each September we elect a board chair and vice chair in accordance with the Hardeman County Board Policy 1.200. And as that policy says, at the first regular meeting in September each year, we'll organize by electing a chairman and a vice chairman to serve one-year terms. So at this time, I will open the floor for nominations for the board chair.
I'll nominate Bobby Henderson.
Second.
So, any other nominations? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. What do we watch here now?
I appreciate the vote of confidence. I hope it was a vote of confidence and not, I'm gonna nominate you before somebody nominates me. I do appreciate it, and I'm really excited about what we've done in the past together and look forward to what we're doing in the future, so.
Hey, Bobby, I'd like to say, I appreciate what you've done. You've really moved this board forward, with the board of distinction and all that. You're always on top of everything, and you go to Nashville and do all those committees there, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate that.
I'll say too, each year TSPA recognizes Board of the Year, and I have submitted a nomination form for this board. And as I was pulling information together on that, I compiled the number of years of experience that this board has cohesively, and it's 110 years of board experience.
Wow.
So that's phenomenal, and it shows the care and dedication that you have for the county and for the school system.
At this time, I'll open the floor for nominations for vice chairman.
I nominate Gene Ross.
Thank you, but I'd like to decline.
We could nominate Jennifer, she's not here. I'm gonna go ahead and nominate, Kenny Atkins.
So maybe second.
Yeah, well,
I second.
are there any other nominations? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank y'all. We'll move forward. The agenda is there in front of us up there. It's in front of you and it's also on the screen. I'll entertain a motion to approve our agenda. Motion made by Ms. Botifer,
Second.
seconded by Reverend Crisp. Any discussion on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to consent agenda, and the only thing in there is our minutes from the August meeting. I'll entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. King,
Second.
seconded by Reverend Crisp, and of course, there's no discussion on that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. At this time, and we like to recognize people in our school system each month because there's so many people that play an integral role in moving forward. It's not just the teachers and the people that come in contact directly with the kids, or the children, it's other people in our school system. So at this time, I'm gonna turn it over to Dr. Smith and, let her recognize the group that we're gonna be recognizing tonight.
Actually, I have 2 recognitions, and one of them fits in 2 different categories. But I was at the bus garage a couple months ago at the gas pump, and one of our maintenance people was pulled up there and getting gas, and he walked to the back of the truck and he pulled out a gallon of oil. I said, "What are you doing with oil?" He said, "Well, every time I fill this thing up, I have to add oil to it." He never complained. He did it with a smile on his face. That truck has, I don't know, 300,000 miles on it, and he still drives it with a smile. That's indicative of loving your job, loving what you do, willing to go above and beyond. And then he did take it above and beyond. The first week of school, we had a student get on the wrong bus, and he drives an afternoon route. And that afternoon, instead of taking that student back to the school and letting the parents and the principal and everybody else deal with it, he took that child home and made sure he got home safely. That's definitely going above and beyond. So this time, I'm gonna ask Mr. Link Pope if he'll come up. And he does it with a smile, see? I also want to ask the bus garage, everybody at the bus garage, if they'll come up. All of you, come on, don't sit there. These guys go above and beyond every day. We have a lot of bus issues, concerns, and they have to deal with a lot. And we've been through a lot. You know what we've been through in the last year? We're trying to figure out different things and different routes, and we've had to rearrange some routes just in the last few weeks. They have cooperated. They've been willing to do whatever it took to get the job done, and we just wanted all of you to know how much we appreciate you. So, this is for y'all to hang in the bus garage. And then,
Each one of y'all tell us how long y'all been driving.
come on.
37 years.
14.
You got Miss Mary in here too. Miss Mary, how long?
13.
1969.
1960. You want me to do math?
Y'all can figure it out. But this is for each one of y'all. I'll let Mr. Chris take those back. Y'all have that put in the bus garage. We appreciate all you do every day. And we throw a lot at y'all. A lot of changes, and y'all handle it, and you handle it without any complaints, and you get the job done, so we appreciate it.
Can you get a picture of you guys? Can you get a picture? Thank you.
How many years did you mother ours? Mother.
How many years ago was it?
Miss Mary, how many years did she have?
How many years do you have, Miss Mary? Miss Mary, how many years do you have?
Thank y'all very much for your service. Next, we always deal with our nepotism declaration in September. We've kind of done this different in the past, and it's kind of confusing because I've asked y'all if it pertains to you, say yes. If it doesn't, say no. Because if you say no, it may mean something completely different. It may mean you've got somebody in the school system, but you're not going to abide by the nepotism policy. So if you would, I'm going to read the nepotism policy, and what we'll do is, if everyone would just say yes, that you're going to abide by it, and if you're not going to abide by it, say no. If you don't, say yes. But anyway, the nepotism policy is because I have relatives who are employed by the Hardeman County Board of Education, I may be considered as having a personal interest that affects or that would leave a reasonable person to infer that it affects my vote on the matter currently before the board. In compliance with Tennessee Public Chapter 3, number 301 in Hardeman County Board of Education Policy 1.108, I declare that my argument and my vote answers only to my conscience and to my obligation to my constituents and citizens this body represents. I certify that my vote shall be in the best interest of the school system. So we'll do a roll call and start with Reverend Chris. Reverend Chris.
Yes, I will abide.
Mr. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Potter? Okay, yes.
Yes.
King?
Yes.
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 Thank y'all very, very much for that. Get that little bit of housekeeping cleaned up. Thank you very much. Okay, at this time, we're gonna do our policy updates, and I'll turn that over to Dr. Smith.
We have two, policies here on second reading that we looked at last month. The first one's on attendance. This is basically, let me get to it. A complete revision of the TSBA model policy, except that we had in there that we would look at 5 days instead of 3. Let me find it. Yes, a student who is absent 5 days without adequate excuse will be reported to the director. So that is for a second reading. The other one that is up for second reading is use of personal communication devices and electronic devices. This is one that we were recommended to take out. The principals have the option to conduct random searches for the possession of cell phones. Those are second readings on those two.
Okay. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to pass both of those since they are second readings. Motion made by Ms. Boterford to pass policies number 6.200 and 6.312. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Atkins. Any discussion on those? All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry.
Does this policy include kids not having watches, the Apple Watch?
Yes, if, it's not gonna, go up there for some reason. It says devices include but are not limited to wearable technology such as eyeglasses, rings, or watches that have the capability to record, live stream, or interact with wireless technology.
Okay, income smart watch.
Yes, so it is included. This is the same policy we've had for several years. It just removes that the principal can't do random searches.
Very good question.
The next one is,
I gotta get up. Gotta pull on it. Is there any more discussion? No more discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Alright, the next one is TSBA model policy. It is around testing, and what it does is at the very end, it adds a section for testing transfer students for grade placement by awarding credits. They have started to categorize non-public school institutions as category 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And what this does is we've been using pre-made, nationally normed digital assessment so that there was not any subjectivity to this, to determine this, but it says that we will put the exams in for those students in grades 1 through 8, and it's gonna cover the last grade that they completed, and in 9 through 12, it's only gonna cover the last course completed. So if it's an English 3 student, we don't go back to English 1, we use English 3. Basically, it's adding these categories for certain non-public school transfer students. The rest of that policy remains the same. This comes out of the legislative session from last April and May. They have just now gotten this release from TSBA.
This is the first reading, but since it's handed down by TSBA, we can go ahead and vote, correct?
Correct.
I'll entertain a motion to approve, policy 4.70.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ms. Carter,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. King. Any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there anything else on the policies? Okay. And next we'll move into our committee reports and our committee nominations. Are there any nominations other than,
Okay, we've had.
yeah, nothing's gonna change on that. If everybody's okay with serving on the committee you've been on for last year, we'll just continue that route. Is everybody okay with that? I know I changed them up last time, and it confused me more than it did anybody, because I didn't know who to get in contact with, and I was just so confused, but thank y'all for serving on those committees. Okay, we have our insurance committee, they met, and, they've got some information to share with us. Are you gonna pull up this card? Okay.
We actually met twice. We met on August the 31st and again on September 6th. We received the increases from our insurance, our health insurance, dental, vision, and after our first meeting, we asked Lisa and Miss Mary to go back and give us some more information. The aggregate premium increase across the board equals 5.1% increase. There were some areas where some of the employees would have a 9.2% increase. We looked at the board taking a 50-50 split of the premium.
Of the increase.
Of the increase, yes. We also looked at 100%, and we were not completely satisfied with those numbers, so we asked them to go back and present to us a 75-25 split. And our goal was, we wanted the employees to be able to see some of their raise they're going to get. So if they get a raise and it gets eaten up by the increase in insurance, it's gonna level itself out. So after they came back with the 75-25 split, we hashed this out for quite some time. It wasn't an easy challenge, but the insurance committee felt like that was the best route that we needed to go. And I'm gonna call on Christie to expand on some of the thought process as far as moving some of the employees over to federal. Explain that just a little bit.
Okay.
That's over my head.
We, the point we were trying to get to with this 75-25, because that's not one that I think we've ever really done before. We had one particular group in every plan that was going to see a 9% increase. That meant that their 4% pay increase was completely gone. Even if we did 50-50, they were not gonna see any of that. In order to get that group to continue to see something in their check, we ended up with the 75-25 split. If you look on your sheet, you see that the actual cost of 2023 was $2.058 million. We did a lot of movement last year with federal grants and federal dollars to be able to move people into that, such as a lot of our CTE teachers and those types of people, to keep that dollar figure relatively low for insurance. With the Innovative High School grant ending this past June, we had to pull all those people back into general purpose. So that federal dollars that was paying for their insurance, now we're having to pick back up in general purpose. And we had budgeted for that in 2024, but with this 75-25 split, the anticipated cost is still much greater than our budgeted amount. So the anticipated cost is $2.629 million. We figure that's going to be a little bit less because we'll be able to move some employees into federal, but it's not going to be 50%, or it's still going to be a significant increase over the budgeted amount. We're probably looking at $300,000 to $350,000 out of fund balance to be able to cover this. And I'll also note that the employee absorbing 100% of the increase and the 45% requirement did not meet ACA limits or the 45% rule. So those were not even options to begin with. So our cost was going up the minute those rates were received. And there's a letter in the drive from Lori Lee at the Department of State of Tennessee about that puts all this out there. It shows you what everything did. We also did not have an increase in deductibles or copays. We had one last year, and that kind of hits the pocketbooks of employees too. This year, we did not have that, so that's an added benefit. Blue Cross and Cigna are going to remain the carriers. So, we will have to bring a budget to cover this, but it's doable.
We have approximately 324 employees on the insurance plan today. Of course, we never know until they enroll what the movement is going to be. But we felt that the 75-25 split, and that's a recommendation from the insurance committee, that we vote for the board to pick up the 75 and the employee 25% of the rate increase.
Okay. That's a recommendation from the insurance committee. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. King. Is there any questions or discussion? Any questions for the insurance committee? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Do you have anything else, Ms. Carter?
That's it.
Okay, thank you very much for that report. At this time, we'll go into the budget committee, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Atkins at this time.
All right, all these are federal, adjustments that were made for the end of the year, and this was, executive committee action. If you look at the first one, and I won't go over all of them in detail, they're just balancing, each budget. But if you look at the 143, 73, 100, basically more money was spent in food, and it was primarily summer school. So there was $28,000, increase in the food and supplies. Alright, so if you go to the next page, there's several on here, and again, this is just cleaning up for the year end. In the first category, there's not anything that, in the first three categories, there's not much notable in there, but if you go down to the fourth category where you'll see $100,000 increase. When Lisa did this budget, you have to realize how long ago this was when she did it. They did not know where the SROs would be funded from, who we would have, where they'd be funded from, who we would get, and all that. So that movement was there to pay for the SRO salaries, and those were basically $35,000 each. And some of those were funded by different sources and different systems. So, but anyway, that was what that movement was. And the rest of that's clean up. If you go to the next page, it's just all minor, $3,000, just all minor adjustments. The only one that I go to is we did have to move some money in the bus drivers, and in number 141727110, we did move $25,000 into the bus driver category, and we did have the money in the fuel category that we could use to do that. And like I said, these were all 630 changes or adjustments to make sure the books were in order. And the next page is cleanup as well. In the 142-903-71200, that's just small cleanups in those. If you go to the next one, which is the Spark grant, this is the TCAT, Advanced Manufacturing Program at both high schools. This is probably the second to last year for this, and this is a budget. So that's money that we will be receiving this year for $138,000. The next one is the SPED budget. It's carryover and has to be spent by September 30th. And this is for equipment for mental health services and those with disabilities that were affected by the pandemic. So this is $10,000 that we'll be receiving. The next one is something that we received. It's a pre-K, it's a Perkins grant. It's CTE. We've received this annually. It provides consumables, raw material in the CTE department, and that budget is for $83,000. The next one is the transition to work, and that's in the SPED department, and This is money that we receive every year for that area, and this is for kids to try to acquire skills, to be prepared for the workplace. So there's several people that work in that department, and that's $298,000. The next is the COPS grant, and this has been going on for several years. They couldn't get supplies, couldn't get installation, so it's been delayed, but hopefully that we'll get this completed this year. That's a $191,000 grant. It's to help with cameras, intercoms, and such, and this has a 25% match from the school system. And if you'll turn to the next page, that's the match. And that's coming from the general purpose fund that will have to go to county commission for approval, but, for us to get the $198,000, we do have to provide that match. And if you go to the next one, it's a pre-K budget amendment. When we first received the initial grant proposal, it didn't have everything in there, so there is an amendment, and it was a decrease of $1,500 with a change in those budgets. The last one that I think we have, that is the last one. I went over this pretty quick. Do y'all have any questions that were in your material? Any questions about any of them?
Yeah, you're on such a roll, I didn't wanna interrupt you, but the first three were budget amendments, right? And then the last one's a budget amendment, or, is that right, Lisa?
The first three that he went over for an executive committee action were budget amendments.
Okay,
Those were amendments there was about, there's 4 pages of those, and then we went into the budgets.
I'm sorry, right, where it starts Spark budget, that's your budgets for FY '24.
Yes.
Except for pre-K, and it's actually an amendment because we had to lower our budget by $1,595.
and then we have one budget amendment on the very end, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, and the reason I say that is we kinda need to vote on them separate. So the executive committee, the budget amendments in the beginning, I think it was 3 of them or 4, we need to entertain a motion. Well, it's a recommendation from the budget committee. We have a second. Second by Reverend Chris. Is there any discussion on those first few? Is that right, Mr. Atkins, am I right?
There's 4 pages, correct, of executive committee action for June the 30th, 2023.
Okay.
On those, there's several pages, so it's several different.
And those were all done as an executive session, so, okay. So, is there any discussion on any of those? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, did those pass? And the next, if I'm not mistaken, there were 5 budgets, correct?
It was this,
Okay.
it was 1, 2, 5, correct.
Okay. That's a recommendation from the budget committee, so do I have a second? Second by Mr. King. Any discussion on those 5? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the last one was just a budget amendment, and,
That was the pre-K amendment, correct.
okay. And that's a recommendation, so I have a second on that.
A second.
Second by Ms. Carter. I'm sorry to interrupt you, I mean, just in the middle, so we can
Yeah, I
take
should
a
have
time.
separated those. I
That
didn't
was my
know
mistake.
somewhere else.
Anyway,
Thank you for doing that.
is there, any discussion on that last budget amendment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there anything else, Mr. Atkins?
No, sir.
Thank you for that report and the budget committee, and at this time, we'll turn it over to Dr. Smith for the director's report.
As all of you know, we've had the luxury of celebrating some level 5 schools, and the level 5 of the district. We celebrate Bolivar Central High School, Tune Elementary, and Grand Junction Elementary for being level 5 schools, making exceptional academic growth last school year. And we celebrated big, and I cannot say thanks enough to the central office. We had staff here out all that night because we made it a surprise. And some of them were thoroughly surprised. So it was a lot of fun. I think it was great for the staff. Some of them weren't expecting some things, and we had lots of balloons and cakes and all kind of things, but it takes a team, and those schools really showed their teamwork and what they can do. So we're not through celebrating them yet. And of course, we put out that the school system has been a level 3 for the first time since 2010 when these came out, and it still hasn't really sunk in that we've made that kind of progress. We've still got a lot of work to do, and we know that it's just the sky's the limit at this point. So it takes everybody from you guys to bus drivers to teachers to assistants. It takes every single person to make this run every day, and it could not be done without anybody. This is just an update on where each school stands for TVOS for the last 3 years. Again, we had 3 level 5s, and we have 3 level 1s, and those schools are, and one level 2, or 2 level 2s. And those schools have been asked to complete a corrective action plan to help us focus on deficiency areas and see what things we can put into place there to address some of those needs. So we'll be working on that with those in the next few weeks coming up. Instructional coaches, we're still using those 3 people, 4 with 120-day contracts, and it seems to be working really well. I think they've been a real resource to teachers and to principals, so we're going to continue those this year. And then, of course, up there in the student enrollment, that made me stop for a second when I saw the numbers for this year and start digging to find out what was going on. And I can basically tell you it's all in pre-K and kindergarten. We graduated about 185, no, that was just Central. Probably 250 seniors last year, and we are bringing in about 130 kindergartners. It's in kindergarten. We do not have kindergartners this year. Pre-K also, pre-K is included in these. Last year, the difference is about 46 kids at this time. So that's kind of where the numbers come from. It's not that they're all going to private, that we lost 100 kids to private school or homeschool or et cetera. A lot of it is in that pre-K kindergarten area. So we'll be monitoring those numbers because of course it will affect several different things. It's already affected some staffing. We've already treated positions at Bolivar Elementary because of their pre-K. They typically have about 8 classrooms, and I think right now they have 5. So, just an update on that. Our Hardeman County Community Health Center is still operating out of Bolivar Elementary for students and staff, so spread the word and remind people to use that when they need it. And this is just a reminder as we've gotten back into school about the Safe 10 app. This is for students who feel bullied, if there's threats, any type of assault, any type of concern. This is an anonymous app that goes straight to the Department of Homeland Security, and we want to promote that to our communities in the whole. Hope Street is pretty much on track still for the middle of October. I have not heard of any delays at this point, so that's going to be exciting to see that up and running and see what we can put into there. I'm excited to announce that this really just kind of happened this weekend and lately, so it's not in here, but Thursday at 10 o'clock, we're going to be announcing a big partnership with UT Martin. So I'll give you a full update on that. Y'all are welcome to come. It's across the hall at 10 o'clock Thursday morning. We're going to partner with them for some post-secondary opportunities, plus hopefully in a couple of years, we can get into some community opportunities. So this could be really large for the whole county. So we're excited about that. They're looking at Hope Street to be the hub for that. We've updated about Bolivar Elementary. We have, if you remember a couple of months ago, we talked about the AIRS Foundation and what services it could provide our students in terms of high school, post-secondary advising and career advising. We did not receive that grant, and I think something better was coming down the pike for us. About a month after that, maybe 2, Gear Up called. You know, we've had the Gear Up grant for years until this last round, and we did not receive it 4 or 5 years ago, 3. They have come out with Gear Up Tennessee 4.0. So this will be the 4th cohort group, and they've looked at several different districts and they reached out to us to see if we were interested in it. It's kind of backwards though. Here's what we have to do. We have to agree to be a partner now, then they're gonna write the grant and we'll know next spring if they get it. So they had to have everything in place This is something that would not happen until 2025, but the planning has to start now. But it's actually a lot more robust than the last one we had. They would place Gear Up advisors in both high schools. They would place someone for all the not in each middle school, but for the middle schools. And it really sounds like it more directly aligns with our vision of what we want kids to have access to in that awareness piece that we've been talking about. So I'll keep you updated on that. We have completed the paperwork for that. They will be submitting that late fall and hope to hear something in the spring.
Now, is this the same program that sent the children to colleges?
It is.
So is it juniors that go, or?
This will be a cohort that I believe would start with next year's sixth graders.
Okay.
But then it picks up seniors every year. So every child gets it, but they focus on those 2 grades. So every senior class gets it, and then that 6th grade as they go up. And they're doing a lot with post-secondary and TCAT too. It's not just college going anymore. It's true post-secondary opportunities. So we'll keep you updated on that. Central and Middleton High School are both having college and career fairs this week, I believe Friday. So if you want to join those schools, Central's is from 8 to 10 and Middleton's is in the afternoon. So feel free to stop by there and see what they have going on. Had a lot going on in the schools lately. Lots of grandparents' days this week and last week. We have thankful for the Baldwin Police Department for providing the yellow caution vest for Baldwin Elementary traffic control, as we call them. The one that I'm really proud of in the middle, Miss Forehand's kindergarten classroom, this was about 2 weeks ago, so they had been in class about 4 weeks, maybe 5. All of the kindergartners in that room knew their letters and their sounds. That is absolutely tremendous success for kindergarten classroom. So, and at the bottom, those days that it was so hot that everyone was complaining about, we made use of it. We melted crayons to see how fast they would melt at certain temperatures. Middleton Elementary had the parent-teacher conference, grandparents' day, book fair, lots of things going on there. Whiteville had Miss Courtney do a safety training with some staff and some community members, so that was big. You're gonna see throughout a lot of these, we've had a tremendous amount of civic help in terms of school supplies. We have had Core Civic come in. Centennial, I believe, went to almost every single school and gave away supplies. The chamber did lots of things, so you're gonna see a lot of pictures in there. At the right, they're already making freshwater and saltwater and looking at science experiments. Hornsby, again, Centennial is there. Students were making solar ovens on one of those hot days. So everything they had was a success and cooked that day. Baldwin Middle had school supplies. If you look at the bottom right, those are the backpacks that went out through the Governor First Lady's program. I cannot remember the name of it. But those are the backpacks that every student in the county received. And on the bottom left, Ms. Dina Sane is doing STEM programming with all K-8 schools and classes. So she is up and has her center rolling. Grand Junction also had the Grandparents' Day. They had Latrell Bumpus, who was a former Tennessee Vol, come and do a wonderful program with students. We had several board members there to support in that, and they did a really good job. That's their SRO on the top right, doing PE, making connections and relationships with students. Tiffany Elementary did something neat for the 8th graders. They let them do a hall walk like the seniors do on the first few days of school in their caps and gowns. So I'm sure they were excited about that. They've also had book fairs and school supply drives. Middleton High School had the real senior walk on the left, and they had a pep rally on the right, and I'm really not sure what they were doing with air mattresses. But it looked like fun. Central has some things going on with football. Again, most of our games are on nfhsnetwork.com if you need that access. We have been working with schools to, again, work with 3rd grade parents this year to update about the 3rd grade promotion and retention law And we've also added fourth grade parents to it this year, because as you remember, the third graders last year now are in the same situation with the fourth grade. So we have two different types of presentations going on at all schools that make sure parents are aware of this. We want them to know every step of the way what this journey entails for third and fourth graders. Low Notes is having a fall STEM camp October 10th through 12th during our fall break for grades 3 through 6. So that's a partnership that I believe Ms. Sane got together with them all. And that is all I have in the director's update. Questions?
Well, the third grade retention law, I know there's several options. They had to go on. Did we have any, you know, the numbers that still were retained?
Was it 12, 15-ish? But a lot of those were parent requests. If they saw the students behind, they said right then, we don't want to do anything, we want them to repeat. And there were about 35, I believe, that we're gonna have to really watch and get through all those steps.
Anything else? Okay, thank you, Dr. Smith. At this time, we'll open the floor for any public comment. Does anybody in the audience have any comment they would like to present before the board at this time? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Ross, seconded by Mr. King. All in favor say aye. Any opposed?